Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, coming at you live to talk about the first episode of a brand new anime series for winter 2018, Sora, Yori, Tooi Basho, I believe is how it's pronounced. I might have butchered that. But it's also known as A Place Further Than the Universe. And this actually turned out to be a pleasant surprise of a first episode for me because the PV, when I was looking over what was tentatively going to be released for the winter 2018 season, when I saw the PV of this, I was not all that impressed by it. I had, in my notations, I had put a question mark, which basically meant like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to think of this. It looked like there was some really bad CG in the the PV, and you kind of see a little bit of that toward the tail end of this first episode with the big ship that is sort of integral to the story. But I actually really kind of enjoyed it. It tonally reminded me of Little Witch Academia, and also how the characters are drawn and animated and things like that. Also, the vivaciousness of the main character Mari. Her seeking to sort of break the rules. Think outside the box, wanting to embrace spontaneity and do things on a whim, sort of just go out on a journey, on a whim one day and everything like that. But being too scared at the same time, like she actually tries to do this. She tries to skip out on school. And I was a little confused because, toward the beginning of the episode, she finds a diary. And I didn't know, was that her diary? Was that her mother's diary? I'm not exactly sure, because the whole time I'm thinking when she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna effectively skip out on school. I got my friend calling in, pretending that's my parent, and I'm gonna hop on a train and just go somewhere." Like, I was really just apprehensive about that. Like, you're gonna run away for all intents and purposes? Are you gonna not even let your mother know where you're going and all this kind of stuff? For the way she is as a character, I'm just thinking, you know what? Maybe set some plans with your mom. Let your mom know what's going on. Don't just run out one day and not return home that evening. All kinds of worrisome aspects to that. I mean, especially if she's by herself. God knows what could happen to her and everything like that. And I'm just like relieved to a point when it fails, when she succumbs to her own fears the first time out. And but this inevitably leads her to running into the other sort of main character, Sharase, who I am immediately fascinated by the history of. The fact that her mother was sort of an expeditionary explorer who went to Antarctica and was lost. They never found her, or whatever. So there is this, and I'm hoping this plays largely into the story, but there is this overhanging mystery, and it's kind of, that is the driving force. That's the impetus for Sharase to want to take a trip to Antarctica. She's been saving up money, working after school. Everyone thinks she's like the odd girl out because she's obsessed with Antarctica. They call her that, but in the derogatory. We see her being bullied at one point in this episode when people find out, oh, she's got some change on her, hoping to, I guess, fund, the necessary expedition to go sort of follow in her mother's footsteps and maybe try to find her. And so that whole aspect of the story really grabbed me by the lapels and has me thoroughly, thoroughly curious. And I hope they deliver on that. I hope that's really an honest to God part of this story, is trying to sort of, fill in the void that her mother left behind. Not just the fun, rollicking adventure of these girls who are going to be on this trip, but I hope there's actually a meaty center to it that maybe sees some kind of answers, revolving around the loss of her mother. Or if not, that she finds something, while seeking that, she finds something to sort of make recompense for that loss, to fill that gap with her friends, her newfound friends that she will hopefully make. The idea of she being so open and joyous at Mari's like supportive nature to that degree, like, she sees in Sharase something that she cannot herself accomplish. you know, here Shirase, she's actually actively trying to pursue this. People are telling her left, right, and center, you're going to fail. There's no point to this. You're just a kid. You know, you can't form an expeditionary, you know, troop to go on this mission and everything like that. Make a mission out of it. Like, it would have to be a mission for it to work out, and you're a kid. You're a high school girl. You know, get your head out of the clouds, live your life. So, in spite of all of that, she is not being defeatist at all. She's actually still trying to apply herself. She's still working a job to make the money that she's saving up, all the dollars she earns, to hopefully bring this about. And you know, to find whatever answers are out there that she's been groping for so many years of her life. And if they can deliver, it's kind of like Made in Abyss in a way, as well as Little Witch Academia, in that here we have a child seeking her parent, and I hope that is something that is very apparent as the series unfolds. I hope that is a large chunk of where this story is going to be going, that plays heavily into it, amongst all the rollicking, fun adventures and misadventures. So that's pretty much my thoughts on the first episode of this particular series, A Place Further Than the Universe. And I enjoyed it much more than I had anticipated, looking just solely at the PV. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up for episodic review coverage. That'll remain to be seen with everything else that's going to be coming out over the next week and a half or 2 weeks, you know. And it all depends on how I'll feel after the second episode. Sometimes a first episode gets me really juiced and really, you know, chomping at the bit to talk about a series. And then the second episode, it drops off completely. So it'll remain to be seen if I'm still that attuned to this series come the second episode. But I'd love to hear from you guys in the interim what you thought of episode 1 of, and I got to look at the paper again, Sora, Yori, Mo, Tooi, Basho, or A Place Further Than the Universe. It's going to take some time to get used to that name. But in any case, as I say, love it or hate it, anything goes in the comments below. Just love having that conversation, and would be really curious to find out if you have high expectations for the series, if this is something that you hadn't even planned on watching, and what you thought of it overall. You know, love it or hate it, whether you did or not. And so yeah, otherwise it'll be pretty much up to me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.